The organizational form of our department will focus on a decentralized structure, meaning decisions can be made by lower and mid-level employees. This would mean that not all police powers are administered from the top, say only chief of police or politicians. There would also be sergeants, lieutenants, and captains involved in decision-making processes. This would keep one area of policing from having too much power and would be able to provide ideas from people who are more regularly involved in day-to-day activity. In this case, local police agencies typically exercise more power than politicians. Policy can be set in individual local police forces to require higher education. Our police force will also take a demilitarized approach, focusing on eliminating excessive force.
One of the qualities that we're looking for in a police officer is one that has a college degree, and that is because they are 40% less likely to use force, whether that be physical or verbal. They are also 30% less likely to fire their weapons, which also go hand in hand with use of force. They have less civilian complaints because they are better at problem solving, and they end up usually being more diverse because at college you meet new people of different backgrounds. And you are also more likely to use community policing.
We would require our police officers to have a college education. A college education proves to be very beneficial for them, and officers that are educated are more likely to make better decisions, less likely to be corrupt, use excessive force, and have a better understanding of the justice system and overall be better with minorities. The controversy between minorities and police have hit a peak within the last decade, and education has shown to help with those issues. College graduates also have better communication skills, understanding of civil rights, and eventually have fewer citizens' complaints. In a perfect world, we would want all of our officers to be fair, genuine, and effective. That includes no corruption, racism, homophobia, transphobia, or sexism. I believe that we should also structure our department around community-oriented policing. We need to create an environment for our officers that pushes the narrative that they are not above the law and that the members of the community are there for them to help them. We would also like to do away with the us versus them mentality and do away with the blue wall of science. We could do this by awarding officers for their work. Focus on praising them in public, punishing in private, publicly congratulating officers for handling situations without aggression, and speak out against injustice. We want to push that the violent officer will not go far in this department and promote those who have taken steps to do better for their community. This will fight cynicism by showing that their work can be and will be valued, and work against the code of silence by shunning officers who value personal relations over community welfare. We would evaluate officers by going through cases and having discussions on how that event could have gone differently. This would include taking the situation, talking about how situations could be de-escalated. We want to fight against the mentality that the officer's job is to act as a superhero and instead act as a servant for the community.
When we are tackling the use of force, we obviously are going to require de-escalation. We're going to require the officers to approach the civilian in a soft manner while they're also being aware of their surroundings. They're going to try to connect to the person. They're going to bring them down to a calm state and listen to their problems and the issues that are at hand. And hopefully they can try to persuade them into do the right thing. People are more likely to comply with you and agree with you when you are calmer. We are also going to require no chokeholds or anything that is going to prevent our civilian from not breathing. That is something that we've seen in the George Floyd case. A report is also going to be mandatory when incidents occur, but the super serious incidents that end in murder, we want that to be met with a big form of punishment, just like we do with regular citizens. That can also be said of an officer who sees something but doesn't say anything. There's something in the force that is referred to as the us versus them. Many times officers witness something illegal by their partner but not say anything. That is just as guilty. They should also be punished. We should punish our officers, and hopefully that will lead them to a better path and not to the path of excessive force.
Essentially, COP, or Community Oriented Policing, encourages decentralized policing that allows for more collaboration with the community for solutions to problems. By having this greater connection with the community, the police are more susceptible to information about what happens within the community. This can be knowledge of what crimes occur, such as local drug dealers, to domestic crimes such as children or spouses being abused. By having police be members of the community instead of outsiders with these people, it prevents crime because the community is more likely to have the police involved. There's more of a mutual trust between the actual community members and the police officers. This is what is known as a consultation partnership. There are four main functions of this. The consultation partnership all essentially act as different ways that allow for a more of an open line of communication between the police and the community. This also allows for not just reports on crime, but complaints against the police as well. It's important because we believe police brutality is one of the major issues against policing, and that community policing will combat police brutality by allowing the average citizen more opportunities to make complaints against the police and have their opinions voiced and heard. It's important because addressing these issues, if we do this, we'll be more successful in removing aggressive and dangerous police officers from the streets. And furthermore, community-oriented policing will allow for denormalization in regards to crime, is great for the community because it keeps official police reports out of unnecessary matters, gives the police more discretion in their work. By allowing our officers to have more discretion in how they want to address a crime, they could be saving potentially many people from a criminal record, and keep them out of jail, keep the community safer, and all members of the community would feel more at ease.
We decided to tackle the topic of police brutality. In 2010, the most common misconduct from an officer was police brutality, and every 7 hours in the United States, an officer was taking a life. As we had stated before, there is a us versus them attitude in the police officer force. In a study, it was found that nearly 60% of officers will witness something illegal and not report it. And in 2015, only 3% of officers were charged for police brutality, and only 1% was convicted. If they keep getting away with it, they will just continue to do it, and we do not want that. Social media has shed a light to this issue and has made it more aware of us. It's always been around, and it has never made an appearance as big as now because of our media. The duty of an officer is to protect and save lives, not damage and take them. We need to work on that as a society. We plan to implement community policing to address police brutality. We want our officers to get to know their citizens and see what the needs of the community are. They are a part of this community, so that's why it's important for them to know their peers. We don't want the community to be scared. We want them to feel like they can come to us when they are in need or in danger. We want better connections with the community. We also need to get in contact with the media, businesses, and other organizations so they can feel like they're partners. And we can partner with them to stop crime and getting details on events that could need some patrolling. We want our partners to feel like we are a team and we can be trusted. We also need to get involved in community events. Our community wants to see us in a positive and helpful way outside of the streets and the field. They need to view us as humans first, and that's how we will gain respect and they can gain our trust.